Mhm.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Real Play Podcast. It's Ebony,
And of course, this is Ciera.
and we are going to get into some different topics today. One of them being a subscriber reached out to us and they had a question, so I'm going to read it off, and we can discuss after. So, John says, "Sorry to go off topic, but since you're women, I want to hear your thoughts on something. Recently, I was working with a female coworker, and I jokingly told a male coworker who's always picking on her that I challenged him to fight for her honor, like within a duel for her,
Mm-hmm.
I guess. He understood I was just playing around, but when I told her, even when using my joking voice, I think, she said she was flattered I would do this for her honor. But he was her boyfriend. I guess she sounded a little awkward, as if she thought I was into her. I'm not. I don't want to acknowledge my interpretation. I didn't want to acknowledge my interpretation of her interpretation. So I casually said, never mind, I think. And that, I'm stuck on the I think part. But,
Mm-hmm.
and I wasn't going to fight him, claiming I felt violence was never the answer. I think she said she understood I didn't actually mean the fight challenge. Long story short, our conversation soon escalated how into one about how everyone is wrong at times. I said that. She countered that I am just assuming and generalizing that. I made sure to sound competitive in this discussion and in a few other ones, and we had so she wouldn't see me as her crusher, but a casual debater. Does it sound random or does it make sense? I also told her boyfriend in front of her I was never really going to fight him, claiming I was a wimp. He said, "You're good, dude." He never sounded threatened in the first place, really. Still, I'm kind of worried if I sounded like I was into her when I was playful, defended her from her boyfriend. But hold on. But I can't be sure she understood. What do you think about what happened in her point of view? You want to start at the top?
Yeah, so I know when you first, gave me
Mm-hmm.
the question and I read through it, I personally was confused on what was happening. I read it twice and I still was like, I don't really know what the question is. So we're going to answer it from what we think was his question based off of our interpretation of what was sent. If we are incorrect, you said it was John.
Yes. I don't want to give his last name, but
That's
yeah.
fine. Yeah. Listener John, if this is not if this response is not the response to the question you were trying to give us, please leave us a voice note. Go on Anchor, leave us a voice note, or go on send us a DM with a video and say it to us, the question and the situation again. But again, we think
We
Ebony
know.
thinks she knows where you're trying to come from and what you're trying to ask, and so together we're going to give you a response. So
Yes.
just want to do that disclaimer, John. Thank you for submitting the scenario.
Yes, thank you so much, John. And we're happy to answer. So, the first part you said, so let's start there. Sorry to go off topic, but since you're women, I want to hear your thoughts. Thank you. We're going to try to give you our thoughts. So, recently I was working with a female coworker and jokingly told a male coworker who's always picking on her that I challenged him to fight for her honor. Now, okay, let's stop there.
Mm-hmm.
Had a male coworker at that time, he didn't say boyfriend. So,
I don't think he knew.
okay.
It
Okay.
sounded like he didn't know until he told her, "Hey, I challenged him to a duel," and she was like, "That's my boyfriend," because she said a male coworker, or he said a male coworker that's
Mhm.
always picking on her. And
Right.
then later on, he says, "I told her," and she was like, "Oh, that's my boyfriend." So it's
So
kind of
picking
weird that they
on
didn't
was
know that.
right, and maybe they wanted to keep it low keys in the workplace. You don't really want to date in the workplace to let everybody
Mm-hmm.
know.
Don't date in the workplace.
So that's the thing too. So I think that one, I would say, John, just based off your story, I'm kind of wondering, and you can answer us, DM us, however you choose to get back to us. Are you slightly interested in her? And You may not be, but the reason why I'm saying this is because anytime like I won't say because you defended her that you're interested in her, but it seems like based on the whole message, and I'm gonna go back through because I just feel like you might be interested in her and you might be feeling a little slighted, like, dang, um hasn't shown any kind of like maybe interest back, and that is her boyfriend, by the way. But maybe since you found out that was her boyfriend, you're kind of like, why was it that was not what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe, I don't know. Let me read again because I might have a different synopsis. Okay, so um so the boyfriend understood that John was just playing.
Mm-hmm.
But when he told the girl, and let's call her Ashley, he never said her name. Ashley said she was flattered.
Mm-hmm.
So let me make
Which
sure I'm
I
reading that
would
right.
be. Oh, you trying to take up for me? Oh, thanks, boo.
Let me read that again to you. Actually, he said he understood I was just playing, but when I told her, even when using my joking voice, I think so. He thinks he was using his joking voice. She said she was flattered. I would do this for her honor, but he was her boyfriend. So yeah, so she did think it was flattering. I guess she sounded a little awkward, as if she thought I was into her. I'm not. I didn't want to acknowledge my interpretation of her interpretation, so I casually said never mind, and that I wasn't actually going to fight him, claiming I felt violence was never the answer. I think she said she understood I didn't actually mean the fight challenge. Long story short, blah, blah, blah. So I guess, are you asking us, John, like, why she might have been a little offended? Okay, I'll say this. If she really does have a boyfriend in the workplace, and then someone who she might talk to you all the time, casually have conversation, and you are almost coming in between her and her boyfriend, like her boyfriend's like, why is he saying he's going to defend you? It
Mm-hmm.
is almost seemingly like you might have been interested, even if that was not your intention. I don't think you have to keep explaining yourself to people. I don't think you have to explain like, hey, that's not really what I was doing, unless he was trying to really fight. Then maybe you would explain like, hey, I'm really not that into her. I think, I mean, I don't really think it is a serious situation. I mean, if you're not interested in her, then that's fine. I think you just keep working and going about your business. I don't have anything else to offer.
Yeah, I agree with that. Not knowing exactly what the true question was, like, do I think
Mm-hmm.
about the scenario of should he feel some kind of way that, oh, she felt flattered at first and then she felt she needed to let me know that was her boyfriend to clearly make that boundary. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with her saying that's my boyfriend. Does that make her now think that he likes her? I wouldn't necessarily feel like, just because if someone
Mm-hmm.
sees me getting picked on all the time and they say, yo, haha, I'm gonna battle you, I'm not gonna be like, oh man, he likes me. Like, that's not gonna be my first thing to come to my mind.
Yeah.
So I think it was cute to stand up for her, because you don't know who the man is. And a lot of times things you see in the news where stuff's like really happening to women, like serious things, getting beat up and all this stuff, and men are just standing there watching it. And so if you thought that whoever this boyfriend was, not knowing was her boyfriend, was being inappropriate, and you just wanted to be funny and like, hey, let him know, hey, you can keep talking about her, you keep joking on her, but know that she got somebody in her corner if it comes down to it. Like, I think that's cool. So
I
yeah.
wish I want him to elaborate on what picking on means, because I want to know, like give me an example of what he says to her, because if that's your boyfriend, like it could be a jokingly
Mhm.
like picking on, but it also could be something serious.
It could be. Yeah.
So I would like to have an example of that. But I think that, as you presented the situation to us, I personally feel like you can just leave it alone. I mean, she has a boyfriend, you're not interested in her. It is what it is. And you can move on.
Yeah.
But I will say that I have been in a place And this is a couple of jobs ago, but I was working at this company, and there was this guy who was working. He worked for a company, but he was at our like conference, right? So he didn't exactly work for my company, and so he would be around, and I would see him and speak and stuff. And I'm nice to all the customers. And so this particular guy decided, we were talking about books. Anybody knows me that I'm really into books. And so we were talking about a book one day, and then the next conference day, he came back and he handed me a book and he said, "Hey, this book is yours." Anybody that knows me, I'm very leery on taking stuff from people. It's just something in me that's like, why you been like, why? So I was like, no, I don't even know you. I'm not even going to see you again. So you can have your book. Like, no, I'm not going to take it. And he was like, no, I'm giving it to you for free. I wouldn't take the book. And so then later on that evening, he asked me, he was like, "Hey, would you want to go to the movies?" Our conferences ran late. So he asked me to go to the movies about 12 a.m. at night with him. Mind you, I don't know him. This is a work conference. And you asked me to go to the movie theater to look at movies with you. And I was like, absolutely not. I don't know you. I'm not going anywhere with you. I don't care if I feel comfortable because I'm in a work conference or not. It's just, that sounds like a bad situation to me. Now, I will say he did have my phone number because with customers, I had a work phone. So you had my work number. And I'm not sure how he actually got my personal cell phone number. Maybe I gave it to him before he started acting weird. But he started acting really weird. So anyway, so he asked me to go out. I said no. The next day was the end of the conference. He he looked up my sessions and came to the last one. And there was nobody that came to my last session. And so I had a feeling that he would come for some reason. And so I told my coworkers, I'm like, come to this session so that if he shows up, I can have an excuse. So he ended up showing up and wanted me to train and teach him on something that he already knew. It's something really basic. And I was like, nobody's here. I felt really awkward. I just kind of packed up my stuff and left. And then again, he had my phone number. So he would leave voicemails on my phone. He would call my phone. I had to put him in my phone as do not answer so that I wouldn't mistakenly pick up his call. He still and then I forgot that I had a do not answer, why I had a do not answer. So one day I picked up and
that's mistake number one. You put do not answer for a reason. You don't even need to remember why.
I know it was so long. I was like, who in the world is this? And it was him. And so I had to actually take it off so that when I see his name, I know it's him. And I guess I could block him too, but he has called me even recently. No lie. I didn't answer, of course, but it's just weird. I'm like, why are you still calling me? He's reached out to me on LinkedIn, tried to ask me do I know any jobs that he could just, it's weird.
So I have a question. What was it about him that made you not even want to deal with him? Is it because you met him at a conference? Because you said you guys had a good conversation the day before about books. And then the next day to me, that showed he listened. And that's why me and my fiance got together when we did back a couple of years ago. Our first date, I told him I love painting. I love arts and crafts. He took me to Art Jam on Connecticut Avenue. I'm like, whoa, you really paid attention to what I said. So he was showing interest after that first conversation. So what made you not want to talk to him even to begin with before he started acting weird?
Well,
and being stalkerish.
Definitely was not my physical type, so I'll just say that. But he came off strong from the gate. And I don't want to tell y'all his nationality because then it's gonna sound like I'm trying to say something about people, but he just came on very strong from the beginning. So, and I was trying to be really nice because he's a customer. So that's probably my fault for being too nice, I guess. I mean, I don't really know if I was too nice, but I don't know what I could have done differently in that situation. I mean, at this point, I could block his phone number, block him from LinkedIn. I think I almost said this. He even followed me on Snapchat. I need to like literally, I try to like, I don't think he's stalkerish to the where he would like pop up to where I am type of thing, but then I don't know. But I'm just, I don't know.
And how many years ago was this?
Oh God, it was like a lot. It was like 4 or 5 years ago. No, I would say like 3 to 4 years. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That seems like he's really trying, and maybe
Either that or very persistent. I'm like, you can't catch a hint? Because it ain't even no hint. Like, I've said that I'm not interested.
oh, well, if you straight up said, I'm not interested in dating you, you were a customer, or, you're not my type, and you really don't want to talk to him, just say that one more time and then just block him on everything. I mean, I don't believe in blocking, but if it seems like he's following you on everything. So yeah, that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because at first I thought it was because we were talking about workplace, and he's like, I wouldn't talk to him because he's a customer, and I don't mix business with anything like that. But if it's just, you just weren't interested, because it seemed like he tried and he did. I mean, I would have taken a book. I'd have like, oh, you want to go to the movies?
I
Maybe
don't
12.
remember what book it was, honestly.
I'd have been like, 12 is kind of late, but what about tomorrow? We can go midday. We can skip a couple, don't nobody really go to a conference and go to all their sessions. Like, that's not what we do.
I had to train. I had to be there because I have to train. Like, it is not like I was just joining the sessions and sitting and listen. It was like I was hosting and training, like leading these sessions. So it wasn't like he was a customer coming in to listen to get our expertise. So it wasn't.
Okay, I get it. So in your case, you wouldn't be able to do it in the middle of the day, but you could have, if you were interested, you could have done it. You could have asked for a different time, but you just weren't interested in him at all at the time. And he hasn't got the hint over the past few years with you not responding and not answering his phone calls. So I think there comes a point where you do have to protect your own peace. And if he's still doing it, you might have to hit the block button on all your social medias and your phone numbers and your LinkedIn and all of that.
Yeah, I block people, but I honestly try not to. But I don't know. He definitely. I don't. And the thing is about him is I don't remember until he calls me. It could be like a year, and then I'll get like a random phone call, or like 6 months in a random phone call.
And what did you talk about the time that you did answer the phone?
I feel like the last time I actually talked to him on the phone, actually, because I was going to lie and say the 2 times before that, he was coming to South Carolina. So he knew I stayed in South Carolina. He was coming through to Georgia. I didn't live in Atlanta at the time. And he wanted to stop by and see me. So he kept calling and calling to try to get me to see him on his way down. That was one time. I moved here, right? He somehow, I didn't even remember he followed me on LinkedIn. He called me and was like, hey, I noticed that you moved to this area. Now I'm in the area that he, live in, and was like, hey, do you know any like jobs or anything that I might be interested in to try to get my foot in the door? Not my job. I don't know nothing. No.
Oh, so it was work related when he called you last time.
He specifically also wanted to know about like my yeah.
Okay, so what I think I mean, sometimes people be put in your life for a reason. You don't think at all that you would want to give him one date to see if he's really.
No, ma'am.
He could be your person and you don't even know.
Well, I guess I missed out. No, ma'am.
Well, he's probably like, oh dang, she done moved up here. It's meant to be.
It's not. Don't play yourself. It's not.
Well, who knows? He could be listening to this right now since you said he follows you on everything.
Well,
your page is open.
That's true.
Your podcast is open. So, hey, friend. But yeah, so have you, not thinking about him, have you ever mixed or tried to date somebody that worked in your company or in a sister company or something like that where it kind of was like mixing business with pleasure?
Absolutely not. I haven't ran across anybody fine that I work with to be like, we should connect. No.
Ever?
Mm-mm.
Would you work with a whole bunch of old people?
Yeah, and yeah.
And what? You was about to say something?
I work in tech mostly. Have worked in tech mostly, so it's more old. I've always worked with like older people. I mean, unless you count like college with retail jobs, but other than that, I always work with like people older than me.
Even at the conferences?
Even at
I'm
the
trying to figure it out. Because I
yeah,
know a
he
lot
was.
of young like tech people, engineers, developers, stuff like that. And I'm like, I see them all the time and they're my age, maybe a little bit younger, definitely older, but I've seen the rainbow of ages. That's why I'm
Well,
like,
tell
you
me
need to
where
go
they
somewhere.
where they go, right? Where they're located, because I've been to other conferences outside of my job at the time, and I was going to other conferences. Nope. Been to Vegas, been to Chicago. Oh.
Yeah, we need to get you to look up some, what is it? Hashtag Black IT, Black male IT people or something. Like they're definitely out there. So I'm like, I see plenty of people, like even today, man, it was today. I just got to work and I'm sitting there and I hear a knock on the door and I'm like, is that somebody at the door? Because it's like we're in the back. So I'm like, maybe I'm tripping because it was a very faint knock. Then I heard again. I was like, did anybody else hear that? They're like, no. I'm like, no, I know I got good ears. Let me go look. And I opened up the door and
Ah.
it was this officer and two other people from security. They're like, oh yeah, we need to come in here and check for this phone. I was like, okay, come on in. So yeah, like they don't work in my specific office, but I was just like, oh, he's kind of, even with his mask on, like you could tell, like even you could tell under the mask was gonna be right. I was like, oh yeah, come on in. And I let him in and I went back to my desk and minded my business. But yeah, that's what I was to say. There's like a lot of different, like you may be in IT, but there might be somebody who's in somewhere else within your company, like the business side. Like you might
Well, I
use.
think because I work from home, I work from home with my last job. I work from home. I worked in the office maybe a year, and then now I work from home. So I haven't had, and then my job before that, everybody was older. So yeah, I haven't had many experiences where I'm actually like in the building, running into a whole bunch of people.
So, okay, that gives me some more questions. So, since you do work from home and you've been working from home pre-COVID, years before COVID even started, do you feel that you are missing out on the office experience, or
No.
do you feel that you would be like able to meet more people and enjoy the camaraderie of being with actual like
People.
engaging with people in real life because you've been teleworking for so much of your career?
Okay, so I would have, if you would have met me two, almost, I've been here almost 3 years. So next year will be like 3 years in March. So 3 years ago, if you would ask me this, I would have said absolutely. Like, I want to see what it is to like work in an office. That's another reason why I took the current job that I have. But immediately I regretted it. I hate working in an office. It's too much for me. I'm very, when I work in like tunnel vision, I like to have on my music. I'm used to being able to do what I want, but as long as I get like my work done, like I'm more like focused. And I noticed that in the office it's really distracting. People like to like talk and like I don't know if it's pressure with myself, but I feel so much pressure to like get my work done. And I don't want to ever get on a call and they're like, hey Ebony, did you finish blah blah blah? And I'm like, no, oh my, like I wasn't able to do. I mean, obviously I'm human, so I'm gonna make mistakes, but I prefer working from home. And even after, thank God, not thank God, since the pandemic happened, I really recognized that I really enjoy working from home and I will never go back into someone else's office.
Wow.
Yeah. For me.
That's
Now
interesting.
I do I would still like to meet people. Like I still probably would like to go to conferences or visit, but still come back to my home and like meet people and do different things. But I like working from home.
So for your total career, how many years did you actually work in an office?
That was my first time working in an office. So one.
Oh, wow.
But the job that I had prior to my first ever job, I had to go. It was kind of like a house setting, but I had to go in there every day.
Mm-hmm.
So technically, I saw my coworkers every day for that. So I worked there for like 3.5 years.
So
But
you
for
said it was a house setting?
So I worked in like a residential living facility. That's like with people with disabilities. That's like my first job that I had. I was helping like 4 individuals, and then I became like the supervisor. So I managed 2 houses. So I have to go back and forth between the houses.
And you worked in the house all day, the 8 hours a day?
Not necessarily, depending on what I was doing. But yeah.
Okay, so you would not count that as working in the office?
Yeah, I guess I would count that as working in the office since that was 3.5 years. So let's say 4.5 years is the experience I have working in office.
Okay.
And like 7 in work from home.
I just I cannot imagine working from home. Like I am going to do it tomorrow, but not on a regular basis. And I have been in multiple offices. So when I started my career, every year I rotated to another office. Every office has a different culture. Even though we're in the same organization, every office is different. And I know you're like, you like the tunnel vision. Some people are like that. Like they'll put on their headphones, their ear pods, listen to their music and just do their work. Like you don't talk to them. Then there's the ones that want to come over, like Rodney want to come over every morning and talk like for 20 minutes. Like Rodney, and I'm on my computer, like typing up an email. I'm listening. But at the same time, I got stuff to do. So you never know what type of culture you're going to get until you're there. But I definitely enjoy being around people. I like when we have the birthday celebrations, the anniversary, for being at the job, the random happy hours after work. And yeah, I like to have people come to my desk and just sit and talk. So I can't see myself, and I am an extrovert mostly. I can't see myself wanting to be at home. Like I would lose focus at home because I'm like, nah, I need to be ignoring somebody while I'm doing my email. Like I want to be typing and I want someone to ask me a question. I answer the question and then go back. Like I need human interaction. So I commend you for enjoying the telework life. A lot of people do enjoy it, but I know.
But I get enough interaction. Like it's literally, I talk to my coworkers all day long. Like even with my work from home job, we're chatting, talking. Like so, I don't feel like I'm.
That's different. That's different. It's not the same Skyping, chatting someone as standing in front of them and feeling their energy and hearing the tone in their voices and going and walking to the food truck together. Just like now we're in the pandemic, people were going crazy because everything is virtual now.
Yeah, I think so. With my last job, I kind of had the best of both worlds because I did work from home, but we had a lot of like conferences and meetings where we had to go in person. And so most of my coworkers, we never had any issues with each other because we never see each other. And then when we do, it's a meeting or a conference and it's all fun. So I, I like that, like sporadic. But even now, I'm just like, I don't need to see you.
You don't need to see him. Well, yeah, for any of the listeners, like if you're teleworking or if you're working in the office, let us know, your thoughts on if I know a lot of people who have left the workforce now because they don't want to work in the office anymore, more of fear of COVID, and they don't want to work in the office. They want a job that'll give them telework 100%. And they found jobs that can do that. And it was like, I'm out, deuces. But yeah, let us know which one you're doing. Do you like to mix it up? Would you rather go all in on one or the other? What are the pros and cons? Yeah. Yeah.
And
I
I
think
will.
you will find some cuties at your job if you go into the office. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I will say that the same work from home job that I had when I moved here, well, that I have, is not work from home anymore. But I still work from home 2 days out of the week, so Monday and Friday. Most of the time, not all the time, because sometimes they would make us come in. So I still had the best of both worlds. I just prefer. It's for me. I just learned. I maybe I got used to it too,
Mm-hmm.
working from home. That it was just like, oh, this is too
Second
much.
nature.
Take
Mm-hmm.
me back. So I definitely learned that I don't want to be in nobody's building for for an extended period of time. However, I do want to talk about one thing that happens when you work from home that is very realistic is burnout, which is another reason why I chose to move here, because I was feeling burned out. I had moved to Atlanta. I didn't really know a lot of people. And so when I moved here, for your point, like I thought, I go in the office, I'll meet a whole bunch of people, I'll get out more. And I did go out a lot and I did meet people, but I also think that I still like working from home. And
Mm-hmm.
so, but you do have to create boundaries with your job, because, and with yourself and with your coworkers, about I need to take a break. Everybody get 15, 30, another 15. Like I need to silence, because a lot of times you can sit at a computer for 8 straight hours, not move, not go to the bathroom, and then they still want more. So I'm at the point where, like, I have to take some time off, because I start to feel like exhausted,
Mm-hmm.
tired, not really like there, because it's just too much stimulation, or trying to, like, it's trying to squeeze blood out of a turnip, like trying to get. I can't be creative. I can't think of anything, because all I do is like am doing this one little thing,
Mm-hmm.
or work. So I think burnout is real, and so trying to like set a routine and have a morning routine and a night routine. Also break the monotony. Like it can't be always the same over and over. It's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I do enjoy not having to drive back and forth in traffic for an hour. So give and take, right?
Right, right. I
I,
know the traffic can really be a deterrent,
mm-hmm.
which is why I'm thankful I bought my house 10 minutes from work.
Oh, nice.
That was done on purpose because I stopped doing traffic back in 2009. No, 2010. I got my first apartment and that was 15 minutes from work. And ever since then, I've just been getting closer
Awesome.
and closer and closer.
Yeah,
Because
that
I don't do
traffic
the
is not.
traffic.
Mm-mm.
Not in
I
this area.
feel like here, they don't really, here in Atlanta, they don't care about you or your feelings when it comes to traffic.
They don't.
Um, I do want to know some techniques. Like if any of our followers are listening, you have any like work from home techniques or special things that you have to do if you work from home, or any ideas. I'm interested to know.
Ideas on
Work
like
from home. Like, oh, if you work from home, like maybe set a timer, or take a walk midday, things like that.
oh, so like things to relax you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
Or better, like, or more efficient, like maybe, um I mean, I have two monitors, but I was going to say maybe like have two monitors instead of one, or you know different things like that.
Okay. Yeah. Give us some tips on how to be more productive working from home.
Work
And how to
harder, not smarter. Not smarter, not harder. I said it
I'm
wrong.
about to say that's definitely not what I do. Girl, no. Smarter, not harder. Yeah, I
Okay, who's got
gotta go back and
notes?
see my face. I was like, what you talking about? Talking about Craig. Um, yes, but I do want to say that burnout is real, regardless of if you're in the office or outside of the office.
I
Because
agree.
work nowadays, these businesses, these agencies, small mom and pops, like they want so much. And I think everybody wants to be successful. If you're for profit, you want to make that money. If you're a federal agency, you want to make sure that you're doing what the government is giving you money to do. But the one thing that I think sometimes supervisors forget, and that's one thing that I try to always do for my people, is they forget about the people. They forget that we're going through things too. Yes, it's a whole pandemic. Yes, you still want these things to get done, but at the same time, you got to go check on your people. If
Can't be
something happens,
taskmasters.
huh?
They
Yeah,
can't continue to be task like masters.
you
Like,
can't.
mm-hmm.
And I feel like the reason why I got along so well with all of my specialists is because I would check on them. Okay, there was a hurricane in Puerto Rico. One of my guys is from Puerto Rico. Hey, how is your family doing? Have you heard from them? Oh, yeah, I heard from them. The power has still been out. It's been this many days. Like, I just checked. Like, from that, like, we still talk. My birthday comes, him and his wife brought me some Star Crunches for my birthday. Like,
Yes,
you know what I'm
happy
saying? Like,
early birthday.
oh no, not this birthday. This was last year. But yeah,
Oh.
thank you.
I wanted to bring it up on the podcast anyway, so I was like, oh, she already said it's a happy early birthday.
Oh yeah, it's early birthday. This was last year, but they knew that I like Star Crunches. And then like when other things happened in my life, like they were there. And like even with the whole Black Lives Matter, I know that I had 4 females working for me that were of African American descent and 2 individuals that were females that were white, and then the Puerto Rican guy. And I text all of them because I'm like, look, all of us are being touched, whether you're white, Black, Puerto Rican. We're all dealing with the stress of a pandemic and the racism that's going on in the world. Just check, like, hey, how are y'all doing? I know you guys are probably watching the news. A lot is going on. Just know if you need anything, I am here. You can call, you can talk, you can text. They all responded, thank you, I'm good. But at least they knew that it was a truly an open door. Don't tell me you have an open door for me, but the door just looks cracked. Like you telling me that, that's just a crack. You have to let me know that it's open. You have to let me know that I can truly come to you and that you even care about me as a human. And I love my people. And they were so sad when I left the office. I'm like, y'all, I'm sorry, but I got to go.
Let me ask you a question. Being in a leadership role, how do you think showing um, support without the question I'm trying to ask is um, what advice do you have for those like to not show empty support? Because like jobs are like come talk to me, and then you go and you discuss the issue with them, and then it falls on deaf ears. Like, how do you mediate, especially when the time where it's the pandemic, people are burned out, people are overwhelmed and not feeling heard? I know you said you check in, that's the way, but how do you make it feel like your support is not empty? Like, okay, if you tell me something, that I will actually be able to like mediate or help you with this issue.
I think it's you develop the relationship from the start. So when my people first come, I give them a form that says all about me. It asks them their favorite color, their favorite sweets, their favorite book, band, you name it. So when their birthdays come around, or if something comes around, I'll get them something off of there so that they know, like, I'm trying to build a relationship with you. I'm trying to know what you like. I'm going to start conversations. Oh, you like soccer? Sat down with Matthew. So tell me about soccer, because your girl don't play soccer. That's one sport I played. Everything except for soccer and volleyball. Because 1, I wasn't wearing them shorts, and 2, I was not running up and down the field. So other than that, I'm not doing volleyball shorts, and I'm not running for soccer, but I did softball, I did track, I did bowling, I did golf, basketball. Like, I've been on teams, So I sat there, I talked to him about it, talked to him, asked him how he was doing. You check in with them on a regular basis, just walk around and just have regular conversation with them. So they know that that you see them as a person and not just as a worker. So when
Number
something
582. Number 582.
The
That's
person.
what I feel like. Yes.
Yeah. So like, I can tell you what my people like. I can tell you if they would rather me give them a time off award or a cash award, because their preference, they like to take vacation, or they want more money because they're buying a house or paying for a wedding or renovating a whole basement right now. Like, I can tell you that because I've taken the time to get to know my people. And a lot of people get thrown into managerial positions without really wanting them. And then you're quickly trying to figure out your way. there are courses, but at the same time, like nothing, you really can't be a good manager if you don't have a relationship with your people.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's all you can do. You have to, from the start, have build true, genuine relationships where they can see you as a person and they know you see them as a person. And in that way, it doesn't make it awkward or hard to have a conversation. And I know, like, even if it's something I can't help them with, like if it's something serious, I know the different organizations within the agency that I can say, let me refer you to these people, let me refer you to this group, because that's outside my wheelhouse. I'll be on the email if you want me to email them for you and CC, like I'll be there, but I can't tell you exactly about adoption because I don't know, but I'm happy you want to adopt and you're asking me questions. Or if you're grieving, I can tell you how to get to the counselors at the agency. I'll give you the time off, as much time that you need to go to the counselors, because it's on work time. If you need to be off for more days during the week just to be off, like I understand because I've been there. So it's all about relationships. And that's how I think you can
Mm-hmm.
tell who's the real good leaders, because they've taken the time to build the relationships, and then their people don't feel like they're working as hard.
I think
They
that's
feel,
a you presented some great tips, like anybody that's listening. And I never thought about the about me, like getting to
I
know them that way.
I can email it to you. Like I have sent this out to other people, because when I went to leadership classes and they're like, what do you do? I was like, I do this. And they're like, oh my gosh, send that to me. I'm like, this is the most basic thing that you can do, is when the first day they come and I say, fill this out, put your name on it and put your birthday, not the year. Because I mean, I already can figure out how old you are. I'm like, I can look at all your stuff, but I'm not gonna, I don't want to know the year, because some people are older than me that I am a supervisor for. So I'm like, fill this out and I'll use it throughout the year, not even just for birthdays. I'll do it like, oh, I always give them gifts for random holiday, not random. They get an Easter gift, they get a Christmas gift, they get an end of fiscal year gift, which is September. Whatever I'm feeling like, oh, here, hey, and it's nothing big. I'll go to the Dollar Tree and get them like some candy. Like, here, I know you like this. Or really, I'm getting it for myself, but I don't want to look greedy. So I'll bring some to the office for everybody, but then I give my group a little special. Because then they work harder for you when they think that you
Mm-hmm.
like them. And I mean, not that I'm saying I don't like them, but like when they know that you like them and that you care for them and that they can come to you and that you appreciate their work. Millennials, we need to be told we're appreciated, that our
Mm-hmm.
work is valued. You can't just think we're going to be a slave and work 8 hours a day, 9 hours a day, do all this output, and we have nothing to show for it but a regular paycheck. Everybody get a paycheck.
Correct.
Tell me thank you. Really, that's all you have to do. Like, just tell me thank you, and I feel special. And so that's my way of telling them thank you. And I know you can't always just buy people,
Mm-hmm.
but I do that, and then I send them thank you Thursday e-cards on their email, like just little things. People like the little things.
The little
So
things.
if you're
I
a
think
supervisor, you can do so much just by trying to make a relationship.
yes, and I think I'll do one thing. When I was a supervisor, this is many. I was 23, child, managing people way older than me. One of the things I did is I wouldn't ask them to do anything that I hadn't done or they hadn't seen me do, because I want to present like, okay, I can get in the trenches with y'all and I can work as just as hard as you. So if I'm asking you to do something, it's not because I think I'm above you. It's your job, and
Mm.
I've done it.
Mhm. That's
So
good, because there's some things that I ask my people to do that I can't do anymore because there's new systems and new processes, and I've way past that level. So they'll be like, "Oh, can you help me with this?" Unfortunately, I cannot, because we weren't doing paperless when I was a specialist. So you know who you can reach out to? Here, go to this person on our team, or go to
and that's
that
good too.
person on our team, because I'm not about to make myself look crazy, and I'm not about to go back and learn something that I've already bypassed. But I'm also not going to be like, oh no, I can't help you, go figure it out. Like, I'll
Right.
send them to my best specialist that I know would be able to easily teach them, or I'll go online and send them the SOP. Like, here's the SOP on how to do it. If you have any questions, go ask X. I'm sorry. I can help you with anything else. I'll review it when you're done to see if it's accurate, but I can't do it in the system because I've never done that. But they trust that I'm not just, like you
Shoving
said,
it off. Yeah.
I'm not just doing something like, oh well, you do it because
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do it. So yeah, I think we both done the same thing. But I definitely, there's certain processes I'd be like, like, why you keep asking me? First of all, stop asking me because I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
But I do try to get in the trenches because those are the people that you look at like, wow, he
Mm-hmm.
really did. Like when I was a specialist, like, oh, he's a whole division chief and he's over here doing little modifications and ordering stuff, little purchase orders right now because he knows all his specialists are busy. That's what's up. Get in the
Yes.
trenches. Now, yeah.
Everybody doesn't know how to do that or that do that. And I remember this girl that I used to supervise, and actually a couple of people reached out to me when I left, and I had someone reach out to me, and I hadn't supervised them in 10 years. 10 years. I'm 33. 10
Mm-hmm.
years, and they were like, "Hey, how's everything going?" Like checking in. But anyway, a couple of people reached out, and they were like, "We didn't know how good we had it when you were here. Like the
Mm-hmm.
next supervisor was nothing like you." And I'm like, you know,
Mm.
and little old me, I mean, 23 is also very hard to, like, it's just ideas and principles that I already had. But I feel like some things are innate and then some things you definitely have to learn on the
Mm-hmm.
job.
Yeah. And I do think being in leadership positions, a lot of it ends up being, I don't want to say it's all learned because it's stuff that you already have inside of you. You're just learning
Mm-hmm.
the right way to use it per person.
Yes.
You can't use the same method on everybody because not everybody is going to react the same way. So you have to learn, okay, so for this type of worker, I need to be this way for this type of
Mm-hmm.
worker. But don't get me wrong, there's been some workers where there's nothing you can do.
Not
Like
nothing you
they're
do.
counting down the days till they can leave. And you're sitting there like, oh, how do I get them to do work? You can't. They're grown adults. If they don't want to do the work, you can't make them. You really can't. So you're sitting there like, okay, this is really going to suck, but now I've got to delegate some work because this
Yeah.
person's not going to do it
Also,
or do it
like,
myself.
don't burn out your hardest workers too. You know how, like you said, you have some workers maybe at the job that doesn't want to do anything or may not do something the way you like. So you might go to someone else and say, "Hey, can you do it?" But that person already has a heavy workload. That would be one of my pieces of advice to supervisors. Like, don't burn out your toughest soldiers, because then.
They'll leave your
Mhm.
organization like I did. Boop. Sure did. I did. I was definitely overworked and undervalued, but it's okay. I'm enjoying my new job for the next 6 to 8 months and we'll see what happens after that. But yes, definitely don't. And I think that's one thing about Black women is that we feel like we have to go above and beyond. We feel like we have to work so hard and we have to prove ourselves. And we do such a great job. They're like, oh, well, we'll give her more. We'll give her more. And next thing you know, it's like, dang, I should have told him to stop giving me so much
Mhm.
work because I know I'm great at what I do. But at this point, I really don't have the bandwidth for anything else. Like, I really,
Right.
for me, I had like, I knew I was overworked, but when all the specialists in the office, not even on my team, were like, how are you not having a nervous breakdown? I'm like, I don't know, because I'm not taking it serious. I mean, I'm taking it seriously, I'm getting it done, but I'm not internalizing it. Like once I leave,
Mhm.
after my 8 hours, like I don't think about this stuff till I walk in. And I kept getting later and later. I was like getting in at 9:30, 9:45. Next thing you know, I'm getting there at 10. Like I'll get here when I get here. Y'all see me when y'all see me because y'all just gonna keep piling work on. Um, and even my supervisor was like, yeah, we know you got a lot of work, but you're doing a great job. And yeah, you
A
know I
lot of
got a lot of
work, but
work.
you're not trying to delegate this or you help out with any of this, you know.
And it's the thing, it's like they know who they can go to who's going
Mhm.
to get it done. They know who they trust that's going to get it done. And it's great to be that go-to girl.
But when it ain't great.
But at the same time, it's like you have to advocate for yourself. But then it's a sticky situation. Do you say,
Mhm.
hey, I have a lot right now. Can we figure out a way to have somebody else help out? Blah, 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 blah. Because then you're like, oh, wait, is that going to affect my promotion? Does it look like I'm not able to handle the workload? Are they testing me to see if I can handle it? And if I can't handle it, then I'm not ready for the next level up. Like it's a mind thing. Like
Mhm.
they're playing with your mind, and it's really hard to come to the right um point that's going to work for you. But for
Yeah.
me, it was like I did everything they said, and when they didn't promote me, I was like, oh, on to the next. Let me go try this little job on the side real quick. um but yeah, would I have done anything differently? Would I have advocated for myself? still probably wouldn't have, because you
I don't know
just
if it
don't
really
know.
matters. Right. If it really matters, because I
Yeah.
mean, you advocate for yourself. Like, I've made jokes at work, like, oh, haha, like, okay, I'm done with that. Yay, I know I'm gonna get more work and dump a whole bunch of more work. And I'm like, you know, so you really can't say anything because it's like, this is job security, this is their expectation. But at the same time, and then it's also like what someone views as a heavy workload versus you. Like someone might be like, that's not that much. And then, because they might not know everything that you are doing either. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
but I definitely think that, to wrap this up, working from home, working in the office, feeling burned out is also a pandemic. I know that we had this meeting at my job, and they were just saying how, everybody's been taking all of this stuff and stress. People have been laid off.
Mm-hmm.
People, not at my specific job, but people have been laid off in general because of the pandemic. People have been, there's shortages because I work for a healthcare tech company. So there's shortages in healthcare. They mention nurses specifically in that too. That there's a shortage, and I know like they also talked about like certain jobs you would get, like you can go and be a consultant and get paid like 3 times as more as you get paid working for a hospital. So now hospitals are getting shortages or finding themselves in a shortage because they can't afford to pay some of these people what they're getting elsewhere. And then if you're a travel nurse, you get paid, 3-4 times the amount that you would normally get paid too. So, nurses are making bank. However, there's a lot of people that's quitting too because it's COVID. At risk. I am having my patients, I'm at risk, and now I go home to my family, and now my family is at risk. I've had a coworker who was a nurse, and she was doing more of like, she was in this like leadership role,
Mm-hmm.
and she stepped down and went back to the bedside because she was just like, I was burnt out, like I was overworked. Granted, she wasn't really, this is like the opposite of what I'm saying, but she went back because it was like she was working 3 days instead of, 5 or 7, or putting in all those hours. And so I think people are making choices what's best for them. But I brought all that up to say is I want to talk about the shortage in um,
New York.
that's going to be happening in New York because of this hospital. You probably know more information about it than I do, but from what I read, if the nurses don't get the vaccine, then they will not have a job, and they said tomorrow, right? So I'm confused.
So I'll pull it up right now, but it actually was Monday. I thought the
Oh,
deadline to be fully vaccinated, which means the 2 weeks after the last shot, of whatever version you get, if you don't have that, then you would not be able to be employed. So, and the federal government is doing the same thing. You have until November 22nd to be fully vaccinated or risk your job. It's not a choice anymore. It's not a, you can get vaccinated or you can get the weekly test or the daily test, negative test. No, it's none of that. There's no choice anymore. You go get vaccinated or you don't work, which to me is, I see both sides. My mom is in healthcare. She is a nurse practitioner for over 40 years. So, of course, she's got a lot to say watching the news. And she's actually getting calls from states that she has never in her life worked in, asking her, we're going to, what is it? We're going to certify you in this state because we need you to work. She right now does telework for the state of Arizona, telemed. She doesn't live in Arizona. She lives in North Carolina, but she's here in Maryland, and she's going to set up and take patients virtually because they need people. And I heard that people whose licenses have expired, they're going to renew them so that they can
wow.
bring them back because they need the nurses, they need the nurse practitioners, they need the doctors. Like, it's expired. And for the medical field, for those of y'all, a lot of you probably know, you've got to constantly stay up to date. You've got to take multiple
Mm-hmm.
certifications. You've got to take classes because things change so much. You don't want to be telling somebody they've got X, Y, and Z, and then there's this whole new strain of something that you don't even know how to treat because you didn't read what came out last year. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's kind of crazy. I think most of those people are going to be doing more of this, the easier things, such as, diagnosing strep throat or, you know, UTIs virtually, because that's something that you can easily kind of do. But it makes me think about, okay, they're asking these people to come back because they're getting ready to fire people who were heroes last year. People used to stand outside in New York and bang on pots every night to thank all of the
Oh.
first responders and all of the nurses who were in the trenches when it started and we didn't know what was going on. I don't know if you've seen those videos. They were pretty emotional. They would stand outside their doors, or some of them didn't even have doors. They were standing hanging out the window, banging. And I'm like, okay, they went from heroes to villains because they don't want to get a COVID vaccine. That's one thing. But at the same time, if you work in a hospital, in a doctor's office, you're constantly going to be bombarded with
Exposed. Mhm.
germs and bacteria and everything. So you already take a lot of vaccines. You already get a lot of shots for everything because that's part of your job. So why are you not doing it now? Why are you so against it when it's something you've done your whole career and it's not something new to you? So
I
it's
would,
like I see both
I would
sides.
offer a different perspective because, I work closely with healthcare, and I have to take whatever they take, mostly, not everything. Um, and so I think that, when jobs tell you this thing is not mandatory, we cannot make it mandatory, it won't be mandatory. And then all of a sudden, one day it's, hey, this is now a mandatory thing. It's kind of like, why am I just hearing this? And I know, for instance, my job made it mandatory for us, I think November the 2nd, but they didn't tell us until like September. And then they sent the message maybe like 2, 3 weeks later and was like, hey, basically had us sign something to say that we had at least the first dose of the vaccine, but it wasn't
Mm.
due until the 22nd. So like, they were like fast paced, like, okay, well, if you don't have it, we got to know that you don't have it. So I don't know if there's federal laws like in the background saying like, hey, because I haven't done my due diligence, dive into things yet. So I'm not sure if it's like, okay, the federal law states that everyone who works for this type of company has to have their vaccine. I can see them moving from for that way. But I don't work around people. So for me, I do feel like it depends on the circumstance. I do agree, you want to keep people safe, but I also feel like, what happened to like my body, my choice? Does that not apply when it comes to a vaccine? Because I know a lot of people that's not like trying to take the flu shot, but or haven't talked about the flu shot. It's just a flu can kill you too.
Mhm.
So I'm a little. I just am a little. I want to know, like, because I haven't studied like vaccine history, but is this the case for all vaccines in history that they start to make them mandatory to where you can't even work unless you take them? Because I'm scared, like, what's going to come next. That's the only thing for me.
So I don't know of anything specifically that you can't work. Um, like a regular person, like not talking medical
Like the flu
people.
vac. Okay.
Um, I don't know of anything like that. I know there's certain schools that won't take kids if they don't have certain vaccines. But what I will
Mm-hmm.
say is they're changing the federal acquisition regulation that will require contractors to be vaccinated in order to get a contract and to work on a federal contract. And Biden has said federal government, which is a large percentage of workers, especially in the DMV area, the majority of the workers do work at some federal agency. You
Mm-hmm.
have to have it by November 22nd, or you can have what is it? A religious or
God, I wouldn't
health,
know.
a
Yes.
religious or health exemption. But today is September 29th, And they have not passed out any information that says what can be those possible exemptions. So you
Right. And
don't even
then,
know how to fill out. You don't know if you can
mhm,
even, can you be anything? And if you look at the dates, you have to take the first shot by October 18th
because it has to
or
be
the
like,
11th,
yeah,
depending
because
on depending on which one. So if you're getting, I think Pfizer, it's the first one has to be by October 11th. If you're getting Moderna, it has to be by October 18th. If you're getting Johnson, you got more time because it's only one. So yeah, so it's like we're almost at the point where we're less than 2 weeks away from having to decide if you're going to take which one, and you haven't even told people how they can possibly be exempt, and if they are, and most likely, my mom said the Vatican said yesterday or maybe the day before that Catholics, like, there's no religious exemption for Catholics.
wow.
So if the Vatican said that, that means there's no, you can't use that anywhere. You can't. So they're, I don't know if they were, I'm not Catholic, so I don't know if they were leaning on that. But if they out there saying that, then no agency is going to be able to accept that as a reason. Like I'm
Right.
Catholic.
Or Baptist. Like I assume that would be the case. However, what I want him to know is if these people are exempt because of religious reasons and health reasons, will the job just kind of create something so they no longer work there if they don't have the vaccine? Or can they not do that?
I don't know. I don't see why they wouldn't allow them to work from home or go back to having mitigations that are more irritating, such as you have to wear double masks, or you have to wear your mask the whole time you're at work, and you have to get COVID tested every week at your own expense. I don't know what the exempt people would actually get, because here we are, they haven't told us anything.
Yeah.
So we really don't know. And now I mean, who knows when that information will even become available. And I feel like it's going to come right before you have to make the decision
Decision.
to take Pfizer, the last day before you can take that one. And then if you miss that one, then you only have one choice. Now you don't even have a choice between all three vaccines or which one you want, because they waited too long, and now you only can take Moderna or Johnson. You may not even want to take those. But
I wonder if the short notice is because they are trying to like make you take it. Like it's already mandatory, but it's like, okay, I gave you short notice, it's due by this time, you gotta take it. Um,
mhm,
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure the whole reason you're being slow is they don't want to give exemptions. They don't want to even go down that road, but they can't just say it's mandatory, everybody has
Mm-hmm.
to have it. So let's just say, well, we have exemptions and we'll get them to them when we get them to them. And then, oh yeah, by the way, these people are going to be the ones that are going to have to review them and determine whether or not it applies to you or not. And then that could even be a
Could be
whole
too late
situation.
because it's too
So
late, and now
mhm,
you don't get exempt. I put Baptists aren't exempt from this, honey, and now I lost my job because I'm out of the mandatory
mhm,
vaccine window.
mhm.
Wow,
Yeah, so
wow.
it's a lot. I mean, I can't see them truly letting go that many people, because I know there's a fair amount of people who don't want to get it. There might be some strikes, there might be some work not getting done. But I just can't see them truly just like, okay, on this day, if you don't have it, don't come to work, and think that everything's going to run normal. And that's for
Mm-hmm.
private sector or for federal. Like, I just don't, there's already a shortage in people wanting to work. So the
Correct.
people who want to go to work, well, don't even want to, but the people that do go to work, you trying to tell them now they can't come to work because they didn't get the jab. So I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot. I'm trying to follow it to see what's going on. Like I'm watching the press. I'm listening to what comes up on my phone, on my podcast. But it's just crazy. It really is. And I think the part that makes it the craziest is that first there was a choice and now there's no choice. And I don't think that adults should ever be like,
Limited. It's
yeah.
scary to me because this is just one thing that you're telling me I have to get
Mm-hmm.
as an adult who should have freedom of choice because I live in America. But
Mm-hmm.
now what's next?
Mm-hmm.
That's my only concern. What's next?
Yep. Next thing you know, you're gonna be like China. You can only have two babies, three babies. You can only, you know what I'm saying, buy one car. Everybody has to turn in their other car because you're mandatory only one car because we're trying to make sure the world doesn't blow up because of global warming. And, you know, you can, no meat is being sold ever again. Everybody has to be a vegetarian because of global war. Like, you know, they're going to try to control everything. So
Yep.
who knows? Who knows? It's not your body anymore. It's the government's.
Don't want to think about it.
But yeah, so you guys let us know, what are your thoughts on the whole COVID mandatory vaccinations that are happening across the country, um, for employees, both public and private sector? What are your thoughts? Are
Yes.
you upset? Do you agree with the government? Do you believe in my body, my choice? Do you think that there should be a happy medium? Do you see these people out here? And part of it, I'm watching these football games. I love me some football. These people aren't wearing masks in the stands, and I cannot, because it just hurts my heart. I'm like, look, somebody out of all 30,000 people in here, somebody got COVID.
Right.
At least one person. So everybody around him, haha, kicking and yelling and coughing. Like, now you done gave it to this person, gonna give it to this person. That's all I think about when I watch these football games. That's all I think about, because people are just not being careful.
No.
And vaccine or no vaccine, you can still get COVID. So I don't
Correct.
know if they're like, oh, we got our shot, so we're going to the football game, we'll be fine.
I think a lot of people think they're immune because they have their shot, and that's just not the case. You
You
can
might
still
have
get it.
you might not have as rough symptoms, but you can still get it. So still wear your mask until it's completely like gone, which probably won't be ever, but whatever.
Yeah, it's gonna be like the flu. It's around, but you can, you know, live. That's
You
what's
can,
important.
right. So yeah, thank you guys for listening to us talk about work
Yes.
on a podcast. We started talking about the work, not a relationship, but the misunderstanding ship between the coworker and the boyfriend of the coworker. And yeah, so John, again, thank you for sending
Yes.
that in. Then we moved on to Ebony's issue the
I won't call him a
gentleman,
stalker. Yeah.
with the gentleman
Mm-hmm.
who just has not given up, and he's still around. But she's not mixing business with pleasure, especially if you're not cute.
No.
And then we talked about teleworking, working from home, burnout, being a supervisor, learning your people, all the way down to COVID, and how these nurses and doctors were once the saviors of Americans, are now being looked at as the problem because they're not willing to just hand their body over to the jab. I don't know. It's a lot going on.
The jab.
That's what they call it on TV now. So I'm like, okay, if that's the slang we use, then I'm gonna go ahead and use it
I
too.
don't think I've ever said that I've had at least the first vaccine. I'm going for the second one on Friday. I don't think I've ever said it on the podcast because I'm like, it's my body, it's my choice. Don't even ask. But however, the lady when I went, she had the needle like this, and she had it like about to do this to my arm, and I was like, hold up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know if she was just holding it that way. And a million thoughts went off in my mind. I'm like, I'm black, I'm a woman, they don't think I feel pain. And so I'm
Mm-hmm.
like trying to tell her, like, hold on, like, I'm a little nervous. And she was like, no, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be okay. But all I can see is this thing in her hand like this, right? And so she finally gives me the shot and it does not hurt that bad. And I was like, oh, okay, it wasn't that bad. She was like, I told you it wasn't. I'm like, like, you can't hold the
You can't
needle
hold it
like
like,
that.
not like you really about to
Right.
jab something.
Correct. That just made me think of that. I'm like, oh.
The jab. But yeah, so I don't know, y'all. Y'all let us know what y'all thought about this episode. And also, I know we've said this before, but let us know what you want to hear us talk about. Like,
Yes.
what topics do you want us to hear? What guests do you want us to bring in or bring back? Um, we're here for you. We know you're listening. We appreciate you listening when you do. Thank
Yes,
you
we
if you
appreciate it.
Thank you if you've made it all the way to the end of this episode and you did not click off, turn us off, change the station, look on a different YouTube page. Like, you're still here. Thank you. But we want to make sure that we're giving you stuff that you want to hear and that you're not just listening to us just to pass time. We want to be engaging. We want to be funny. We want to be serious. We want to be everything that you need us to be. So hit us up below on YouTube right now in the comments. Let us know what you want to hear us talk about. And
Yes.
we'll definitely work on making that happen.
Yes, and if you guys would be so kind to, if you are listening to us on a platform on Apple Podcasts, Google Plus, Anchor, if you can look below, subscribe at the top, and then look below and give us a rating. We prefer 5 stars, little comment, and that'll be very helpful to us. And if you have any questions, you want to send us an email, you can send us an email at therealplaypodcast.com. You also can DM us on Instagram at
The Real Play Podcast at gmail.com.
What I said?
Just .com.
Oh. And you also can DM us at the Real Play Podcast on Instagram, and then you can also DM us separately or follow us on social media if you would like to. And I'm at Ebony D. Johnson.
And I am at Raven with 2 N's, Raven with love. And I just thought about something when you were saying follow us. I have like almost 100 follow requests, but almost all of them right now have recently just started popping up are from like the Bitcoin people or, you know, selling this and selling. I'm like, no.
Look, and then I unfollow. Don't follow me.
I let them sit there. I'm like, let me see. Oh, their page is open. Oh, she's talking about money. Oh, I see a wad of money on his. No, Bitcoin. No, not doing it. Current cryptocurrency. Like every time, if I see any of that, it's just gonna stay there. Like, because you can't send another request.
I got this is I'm gonna talk really fast about this. But I had somebody follow me on LinkedIn and they sent me a message and was like, this is new now. Hey Ebony, I am blah 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 and I do blah 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 and we look for people like you who might be interested. And then so she gives this description of this product. Mm-hmm. And she was Black, and so that's the only reason why I wrote her back. And I'm like, hey, I'm not even the person that you're looking to talk to. I don't make those type of decisions at my job. And then she wrote me back and was like, hey, but you can use this for personal use. I never wrote her back, and I'm like, girl, yeah, y'all finding ways. Like, first of all, I expected on Instagram, maybe even Facebook, but you didn't came to LinkedIn. Good God.
Yes, they trying to hustle. I can't knock the hustle. Like I can't knock it, but what you're not gonna do is be on my page, get on my nerves. So you're not gonna get accepted. But if you're a real person and you want to follow me, I have no problem with that. Send the request. I will accept most of the time.
Emphasis on real.
Yes, if you're a real person, don't come at me looking fake, phony. And yeah, we're not gonna do that. So anyways, thank you, people. Thank you, listeners. We appreciate you. And I guess we'll be back next week with some more, right?
Yeah. All right, guys. Bye.
Bye.